Welcome, everyone, to the This Week I'm Into podcast. I'm your co-host, Pete Tyler. Later on the episode, we're going to have our mutual friend, Tim Boyer, on to talk about his passion of hot sauce. Woo! But right now, I'm with my friend and co-host, Paul Imbrugulio. Paul, how are you doing?
My tongue hurts hard.
Too much hot sauce, huh?
Yeah, too much hot sauce.
Paul, just to start us off, what's the hottest pepper you've ever eaten?
I think it's a ghost pepper. I gotta look
Really? Okay. That's up there on that Scoville scale. Scoville scale? That's
Maybe
hard to
not.
say.
That seems like it'd be way too... Maybe it was a Carolina Reaper. I don't know. It was a little red one,
Okay.
and it made me cry.
That's perfect, Paul. We can definitely get into that this episode.
Dude, you know what?
What?
I'm not sure if there's a difference between like hot sauce peppers, like when it's in the hot sauce. But so this guy at work grows them,
Mm-hmm.
and at some like team building thing, he like brought them into work one day, and he had these like whatever, let's just say Carolina Reapers, and so they're probably like the size of your pinky,
Mm-hmm.
and so he cut me about a little sliver of it, about the size of my pinky nail,
Okay.
and I could not talk for probably 30 minutes to an hour.
That bad.
I was just like, and I only had, we were at a brewery, and I was just like chugging drinks, trying to like get the burn out of my mouth.
Did that help? Like, I assume you're
No.
drinking like beer then, right?
It did not help.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think at some point it's too deep into my mouth that it does nothing.
Yeah, it seems like you got like maybe the
I didn't have milk.
worst
Right.
peppers possible to try that experiment with.
Well, they challenge you, and you're like, okay.
I think I would have been a coward and not taken that challenge.
Everyone else was doing it. I'm a little bit of a sucker. I'm not saying follow peer pressure, but
But you did.
at some point, don't do it.
Okay.
Have you ever done a hot pepper like that?
No, okay. Well, let's get into it, Paul. I'm actually kind of a wuss when it comes to the hot sauce. So
Okay, wait, Hans, I was thinking last night, right? I was in
Yeah.
bed. I was thinking about the different levels of spice tolerance.
Yep.
And there's a scale for, I'll just try to make it out of 5. And then there's a 0 category. So 0 category, you can tell me where you place on this. So 0 category are people who think buttered noodles are spicy, right? Like pepper.
Okay, I'm above
right?
that. I'm
Like just
above
like
that.
truly like salt and pepper is too spicy, right?
Yeah.
Then like the first level, I would say, are like people who think like jalapenos are probably like the spice, like they're top spicy, like they're not going past the jalapeno.
Okay, I can already tell you I'm likely level 1, but keep
Okay.
going.
And maybe so level 2 I think are people who are willing to try things that are a little bit spicier. Like they're probably like normally going to put on like Tabasco, Sriracha, like other like chili oils or whatever, right? Like they're more than happy to put that on. They're willing to try things that are a little spicier, right? Like you're willing to do that kind of stuff. Level 3 are people who like want that kind of spicy. So like it's not really spicy because it's like Tabasco sauce, but like people who like want that every time they have eggs or something like that.
Okay.
Level 4 are people who like want to try the like really spicy crap, like the people who want to try like the Carolina Reaper spicy levels and stuff. And then level 5 are people who are drinking that stuff straight from the bottle. Right. Those people shouldn't exist, but they do.
Well, I can tell you I'm certainly not level 5. Okay, I would say
You're at a Thai restaurant, right? And like that's like who I imagine are the 5 spicy levels.
okay, if they ask me at a Thai restaurant,
Out of 5.
out of 5, what level do you want? I'll ask for 2. But then again, that's also that's a white person too.
Yeah.
So they probably see me, they see a 2, and they actually give me a 1. So
Yeah. No, I think on my scale, which might not translate exactly to what I would order at a Thai place, I'm also probably like a 2 to a 3. Like
Okay.
I'm willing to try stuff,
Mhm.
but I don't enjoy it in the sense that like I think once my mouth starts burning, I can't taste the food anymore.
Yes, no, I agree with that. Here's where I'm at, Paul. I'll give you some examples of spicy that I do like.
Okay.
1, Sriracha sauce. I actually don't think Sriracha sauce is like that spicy. It's like more flavorful than spicy. So I actually do like Sriracha sauce. Chili oil with the garlic crunch. Oh, I love that. I'll put that on anything, really.
Yeah. Though that's not really spicy, but yes, I agree.
But also not very spicy, right? Jalapenos in 2 cases. In only these 2 cases. 1, jalapeno poppers.
Okay, good. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's got cheese in it.
Yeah, with like loads of cream cheese. Like, yeah, I can do a jalapeno popper. And then two, I actually like a jalapeno in a banh mi sandwich, but I only like a couple jalapenos. I don't want it
Yeah.
loaded with
Two
jalapenos.
only.
I just want a couple jalapenos. So,
Okay.
and then on the other side of this, I don't know if this really counts, but I absolutely love wasabi. I don't know if that's like, I don't include that as the same spice as like pepper spicy. I think it's
I
different.
agree. It's a different
It's
spicy.
a
Well,
different spicy. It's a different compound for sure.
it's like how those like the Szechuan spicy is like a different kind of spicy.
Right.
It like burn. Well, and I don't know how different hot sauces work, but you know how like I don't know how I would describe it, but different hot sauces like wasabi or like the Szechuan or like
Yeah.
regular like hot sauces like burn different parts of your mouth.
And I think wasabi is like fleeting. Like it hits you, but then it does not stick around.
Yeah, that's a
Unlike
nose clear.
yes, yes. So I actually love wasabi. Like if you put that same 0 to 5 scale, but put it for wasabi instead of hot sauce, then I'd probably be a 4 or 5 on wasabi.
Yeah, you're just putting that stuff straight in your mouth.
Well, okay, tangent here.
The wasabi
I've
challenge.
done like the wasabi challenge before. Like, okay, specifically, I was at a sushi restaurant with a lot of high school friends during prom, and I was sitting next to my date, right? And I took her wasabi pile, and I took my wasabi pile, and combined it, and then ate the whole thing, and it was a horrible experience.
Damn, he's really trying to make a good impression, huh?
Yeah, okay. I think I was a silly high schooler because that did not work. Also, that incredibly messed up my stomach for for days to come. So I would not recommend wasabi challenge, but I will say I was willing to do it. So that's different. That's different. Wasabi hot sauce I put in different categories, but I do love like wasabi horseradish. I love that feeling. So anyway, Pauls, I was diving deep into this. I found the way they rank the hotness of peppers. Like, are you familiar with that? The Scoville scale.
Yeah, I've watched Hot Ones.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, you know hot ones. Yeah, so what I found some like interesting stuff about the Scoville scale, which is today it is a completely objective measurement of how much like capsaicin or capsaicin related compounds are in a pepper.
Okay.
And capsaicin being right the compound that triggers the spicy feeling, right? The spicy hot feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just for context, like a jalapeno is 4,000 to 8,000 Scoville units.
Okay.
I did find here's a fun fact, early fun fact for you. The hottest pepper used to be the Carolina Reaper, but now it is actually a pepper called Pepper X that clocks in at 2.6 million Scoville units. I don't want to eat that. But fun fact for you, the same person who made the Carolina Reaper is actually the same breeder who made Pepper X, but you can't buy Pepper X seeds because I feel like that would be a danger to humanity. So
I'm glad that we put regulations on something.
yeah. But interesting enough, the Scoville measurement, it used to be like a subjective measurement where it comes from this American scientist named Wilbur Scoville. And the way he would measure Scoville units is he would like cut up a pepper, extract the capsaicin using some kind of alcohol, and then dilute that alcohol pepper compound into sugar water. And then he could have people drink the sugar water, and he would keep diluting it and diluting it and diluting it. And then the moment that people couldn't taste the pepper anymore, that was the cutoff for how spicy the pepper was. The more you
Oh.
diluted it, but the pepper taste still stayed around, then that meant it was a spicier pepper. So I
I
thought that was
mean,
kind of
seems like it's pretty. Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
idea. That's cool. I like that.
Today it's much more scientific though. They use high performance liquid chromatography, and I'm sure as a chemical engineer, do you want to go ahead and explain that?
Yeah. So it's just liquid chromatography, but like really high performance.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you,
Yeah.
Paul. Perfect. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting the way we rate the spiciness of peppers. Uh, there's a method to the madness. So when someone says like, "Oh, this is like off the Scoville scale," like now you know what that actually means.
Is it a linear scale? Do you know?
It
Or
is
is it like a
linear.
log scale?
Yep. Actually, the amount of capsaicin or capsaicin-like compounds is completely linear to the Scoville scale. So if you had just pure capsaicin, that would be like
An infinite amount.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then speaking of capsaicin, another interesting thing I found was the way that it actually works is there's like a receptor in your mouth, nose, and eyes that actually detects heat called the TRPV.
Like physical heat, like it's supposed
Yes.
to.
Yep. But this receptor gets unlocked by the capsaicin molecules, and the receptor is connected to like there are signals to your trigeminal nerve, right, which connects. It's the nerve
Oh,
that
my
is
trigeminal nerve.
it's all over your face, right? It's like
Okay.
your mouth, right? Mouth and face, nose. But it makes your trigeminal nerve go crazy, and it thinks there's like an inflammation, like a local inflammation. So it like does everything to shut it down, which is why like it's connected to your nose, right? It's why your nose gets super runny because your trigeminal nerve is going crazy. And then it's also connected to your eyes, so it's like why your eyes get watery because you're like
Okay.
your brain's like stop doing this. Like we've evolved to like know that capsaicin is dangerous, even though for some reason humans love it.
Hmm.
So when you eat it, your brain's
You
just
like the
telling you like
torture.
emergency, emergency, stop doing what you're doing. So that's kind of why it goes crazy. But for some reason, people love it, and it's evolved into this multi-billion-dollar industry that is hot sauce.
Okay, so speaking of hot sauces, right, and like the amount that you're able to try, you know the show Hot Ones. I think a lot of people know
Yes,
the show Hot Ones.
I
It's
know hot
basically
ones.
like an interview style show where they increasingly get hotter hot sauces and they do, they ask questions.
Hmm.
This was so fun at work a couple weeks ago. Somebody had brought in like the Hot Ones set for this year where they had like the 10 different hot sauces that I assume were on the show for this season.
Yeah.
And they brought in a bunch of like chips and stuff for everybody to like see how far they could go up the
Oh,
scale.
interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And it was funny. So I got there, like I got to it pretty late, and people had started putting like post-it notes of like what they thought of each one. And I ended up getting up to number 7, and I don't know like the Scoville stuff on it, but I really only tried it because it was supposed to be like a ginger flavored hot sauce, and it
Hmm.
was actually pretty good. If you ate like a whole chicken wing of it, yeah, it'd probably be pretty awful. But I was like putting dabs of it on like a little like pita chip. But it tasted pretty good. And I was like, oh, like, if I can handle like little bits of number 7, like maybe I'd go to number 8. But if anyone knows that show, number 8 is always the bomb, beyond insanity. I think is like the specific kind of hot sauce from them. And it's like notoriously like I swear like the worst one on that show. But
Okay.
somebody put a little post-it note that just said tastes like battery acid. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm not gonna do
That's a good
that.
tasting note. Yeah.
That's a flavor profile that
Yeah.
I'm okay skipping.
That's something I learned from our guest who's about to come on, Tim, is like whenever we were out and I saw like something really hot or like hot sauce, I'd be like, "Whoa, Tim! Like, look at this, beyond insanity, mess up your mouth hot sauce. Like, you should try it." And then he's always like, "No, like, I actually like enjoy hot sauce. I like when hot sauce has flavor. I don't like when it's just like destroy your mouth, chili flake powder, hot sauce, kill, death." Like, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that actually makes sense. Like, hot sauce should have flavor. It should not
Yeah.
just be like for the sole purpose of messing up your mouth.
Have you tried the jelly beans of different different peppers?
No, wait, I didn't even know that existed. What is
It's
that?
like a joke. It's like a little joke canister with like they're all red, so you don't know which pepper you're gonna eat, and they're all they're full of spicy
Okay, yeah.
flavors. So it's like one's a jalapeno, one's a habanero, one's a reaper, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And it's just like haha, gotcha.
It's like the Harry Potter
Hmm.
bean boozled beans. You know what I'm talking about? The bean
I think
boozled.
it's everything bean boozled. I think it's just like every flavor beans, like pepper pots, every flavor beans or something. And the first one is like diarrhea flavored or something.
Yeah, it's like
Vom-
horrible stuff.
vomit.
It's like, oh, is this buttered popcorn or is this rotten egg? But in the case of
Oh,
the
but like the real one. Yeah, yeah, like they have a real version of it.
right. So it's like it's a toss up whether you're getting something horrible or something good.
I love that idea because it almost certainly was created because they tested a bunch of flavors that just didn't work. And they were like, wait, but this did taste like a rotten egg.
Wait.
Now we can finally sell it.
Imagine being that food scientist that was like, okay, I didn't quite get buttered popcorn, but I definitely got rotten egg with this one. So let's like make the most out of it, right?
Yeah, I don't want to put that to waste.
So I feel like the pepper beans are like they're like a bean boozled, but in this case, you know exactly what you're getting into. Like,
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
I'd be impressed if you could eat one of those and actually know what kind of pepper it's trying to replicate.
Oh, I don't know if it had the flavor of the
Oh,
peppers.
okay. It was just like hot.
It was just like different levels of hot.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, can I hit you with some fun facts?
Yeah, you can hit me with those Hans's fun facts. Hans's fun facts. Fun facts with Hans.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Paul. I feel like that rendition of Hans's fun facts just gets better and better every episode.
I've been taking vocal lessons.
You are such a good podcast host. Okay, Paul, you talked about eating pepper. Sorry. Okay, Paul, you talked about eating peppers at a brewery earlier, right?
I did.
Well, fun fact, fat in alcohol can remove capsaicin from its receptors. So, common antidotes to extremely hot pepper feeling is milk and beer. Those have been found to be the most effective countermeasures to heat.
I did not have success with beer.
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if I've mentioned it on this, but I'm an avid milk drinker.
I actually think this is the first time that's come up.
That's good. I do remember God, what's that guy on the Food Network? Alton Brown.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
The guy on the Food Network channel, Alton Brown, I believe had this show that was like science myths or like debunking, claims in food. And he definitely did one on this. And I remember like he had people eat all this hot stuff and he let them like drink different drinks. And that's the only reason that I knew milk was good. But I didn't know it was because of the fats and stuff.
So was milk the like ultimate victor from that show? Do you remember? Okay.
Yeah, because they were saying that water and other drinks that were not fat based would just push it around your mouth.
Yep.
And it would just, it wouldn't necessarily make it worse, but it would make it better.
That's exactly what I saw too. It was like water does not help, but milk does help. Apparently alcohol helps too, but our host has maybe a different opinion about that.
But I will say it was interesting that you're saying that it hits a receptor that like is for heat, because sometimes I'll just like run my tongue under running water and I feel like it soothes the pain. Okay. It might not like remove the thing that's on the receptor that's making me feel that, but I wonder if like sometimes I'll get like a big bowl of water and I'll just stick my tongue in it and it does make me feel better.
Yeah. Okay. There you have it.
So not a long-term solution, but a short-term solution.
I also feel like spicy foods like Thai food pair so well with beer, and I feel like it's for that reason. I don't know. Maybe that's my own personal opinion, but there you have it.
Yeah, and I feel like there's foods that do it too. Like people will always say like eat it with like my spicy food with like rice helps take out the heat. That's all I got.
Paul, another food myth for you. When people eat spicy peppers, they're usually like, "Oh, avoid the seeds, right? That's the hot part."
Yeah, I always cut out the seeds of the peppers.
Okay, that's a myth. The seeds are not the spicy part of the pepper. The pith is. The pith is the spicy part of the pepper. So, if you imagine you got your jalapeno, right? If you sliced it in half, the exterior part of the jalapeno is not spicy, right? That's like the flesh itself. The seeds,
the green part.
Yeah, the green part, not spicy. The seeds itself, also not spicy. But the seeds are connected to that kind of white part in the middle, the interior. And that white middle interior part is called the pith. And that's where the majority of the actual spiciness is coming from.
Huh.
So when you're cutting open peppers and you're removing seeds, you're probably also removing the pith, which is why I think that's where that myth comes from. It's like, oh, I took the seeds out, but you also took the pith out. So you took the hot part out.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Here we are. Thanks, yeah, we're debunking food myths right here.
Well, that'll help me in my cooking so I know what to avoid. Okay,
Paul. Effectively, you can call anyone who enjoys spicy food a drug addict. And here's why. To counteract the feeling of heat that is caused by peppers and hot sauce, the brain actually releases endorphins. And these endorphins cause a euphoric feeling. So effectively, when you're eating chili peppers, you are getting high. So anyone who loves the feeling of eating a spicy hot chili may as well be a drug addict.
Okay.
I say that jokingly. That's so far away from the truth, but
We have an epidemic on our hands.
yes. And then, Paul, I want to finish off with a story. Story time with Hans here.
Story time with Hans.
Thank you. Paul, you may have noticed that Sriracha tastes a little different recently, right? Don't you think that's true?
I actually don't like Sriracha.
Okay.
I don't own it.
Never mind then. Never mind. Okay, well, me, who's an avid Sriracha enjoyer, I have noticed that it tastes different, and it's harder to get. You probably heard about that, right?
Yeah, they had a big shortage for a little while back in like 2022, maybe.
Yes, the great Sriracha shortage. And here's where it comes from. There was a dispute between the producer of Sriracha, which is called Hoi Fong Foods, and its pepper supplier, which was called Underwood Ranches. So, allegedly, Underwood Ranches was overcharging for their peppers, and they were the sole supplier of the peppers for Sriracha sauce. So, Hoi Fong Foods actually sued Underwood Ranches because they believe they were being overcharged for their peppers. But Underwood Ranches countersued because they had a sole contract with Hoi Fong Foods, that they were the sole supplier. So effectively, there was no competition. So they actually thought they were being underpriced for their peppers. And Underwood Ranches won that lawsuit. They won $23.3 million off the Sriracha Sauce Company. And that contract that lasted 30 years, that partnership effectively ended. This was around 2022. I mean, the lawsuit started way before that. But that's where the actual shortage came from. And so Hoi Fong Foods changed their supplier from this Underwood Ranches to a Mexican supplier who had a little bit different kind of pepper, which is why the Sriracha tastes different, and the Mexican supplier cannot supply quite as many peppers itself, which is where the shortage comes from. So there you have it. There has been, in fact, a real change with Sriracha sauce. I'm not going crazy. You're not going crazy if you think that there's been a real change. So there's your story. It all comes down to legal issues, right?
It doesn't it always?
It always does. All right, Paul, you want to give a shout out to any resources?
I like the Hot Ones interviews. I think that's a really fun way to watch celebrities.
That's the only thing I've written
get flustered.
Down is Hot Ones. So
that's it. That's all I know. Oh, yeah. And Hot Sauce Club at UVA.
Oh yes. Okay. Hopefully, our guest, who was the previous president of the Hot Sauce Club, can get into that a little bit. Founder and president. Yeah. Excuse me. Founder and president. Maybe he can get into that a little bit. But anyway, with that in mind, I feel like that's a good time to switch it over to our guest, Tim Boyer, after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Joining us now is me and Paul's mutual friend from college, Tim Boyer. Tim, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
It's a pleasure, guys.
We're so happy to have you, Tim. Tim, can you just start off, give yourself a little bit of an introduction and what you're here to talk about today?
Yeah. So welcome from the great capital, Providence, Rhode Island. This is where I've lived for the past 5 years in one of the best states. And my occupation, I'm a PhD scientist at Northeastern University. I work on drug delivery for osteoarthritis. And hopefully by the end of the podcast, I'm able to talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite hobbies, hot sauce. And also some things you may not know about hot sauce and its relationship with osteoarthritis. So, yeah, this is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited to talk to you guys about
that. Can you explain a little bit about what got you into hot sauce to begin with and just why you enjoy it so much?
Yeah, definitely. So, really, I enjoy hot sauce so much because it is a non-withdrawal addiction. And I think it's something that's really underappreciated. A lot of people don't realize that just like, professional athletes with like a runner's high, when you're going on like 14 to, 16 miles on a really, like on a marathon and you start to get that runner's high. I think hot sauce is the same way. And people don't really realize that. So I think I'm chemically not dependent. It's not like a pharmaceutical or it's not like a illicit drug, but I think I'm actually chemically ultra responsive to hot sauce, that I get these cravings that I think, you would colloquially call as more of an addiction. So I think that's why.
So can you go a single day without hot sauce at this point, or no?
I think I can go a single day, but I don't think I could go a single week. And it's
You're a drug addict, man.
it's sort of like that. And I think maybe we can get into it a little bit later, why this actually chemically could make sense, the relationship between certain drugs and hot sauce. But that's the reason why I love hot sauce. It's really because my body needs it. It's like I've gone to a couple places for like a conference, and you're just like, you're staying at an Airbnb for like 7 days, and hot sauce is just not readily available. I have to go out to the store and buy hot sauce.
Really? Okay. All right. So there always needs to be hot sauce. How long do you think you've gone without hot sauce?
Wow, that's actually a really interesting question. Like without having hot sauce, and let's even go to like not having like really spicy food. In the past, I guess since I was 6 years old, it probably has not been longer than a week. Like I have always had either a really spicy meal or some sort of like hot sauce on some dish for at least once a week for the past since I was 6 years old. So that's almost 20 years.
Is your family into hot sauce? I don't know if my parents was giving me anything spicy when I was 6. It was like plain chicken nuggets.
Yeah, that is actually where it all started. When I was 6, as I was saying, my dad used to put hot sauce. He would cut up these Granny Smith apples into apple slices, and then he would put Frank's Red Hot on them. And it's like this very odd combo of like a sort of like sour apple with this cayenne based pepper, and I think he was just feeding it to me, and that's what I knew when I was 6. Like we always had apples with Frank's Red Hot, but then I think a couple years later he would start expanding my food palette, because he's kind of a health nut, and so he really wanted me to get like sardines. I swear, like all like I don't know if you guys had this experience, but like a lot of parents, they want like their kids to eat fish oils because I guess the omega-3 fatty acids for their brain health or something. There's like a fad with that, right?
Okay, I was convinced we stopped doing omega-3s. Like I thought that was over. Like we're past the it's helpful for.
Yeah, I mean maybe 20 years ago, but so then he would put this is it all comes back to, he would put the same hot sauce on sardines, and then you're not really tasting the sardine anymore. You're just about the Frank's Red Hot. So he's sort of conditioning me to like eat other foods, but doing it through hot sauce. But kind of as a byproduct, I developed this hot sauce addiction.
Wow, I think a lot of people do that on sugar. You just did it on hot sauce.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right.
Wait, that's actually fascinating. It's like, so sardines, I assume, have to be packed with this omega-3 fish oil. Why not just put it on like salmon? Like something a little more edible. Fish
oils are cheap.
I mean, my dad's from West Virginia, so I think he likes convenient foods. He likes Spam. He likes sardines in cans. Like that's kind of like what West Virginia and some of the Midwest can be about. So that's kind of what he grew up with, and to make it like edible, he would just put hot sauce on it, and it's just a great tactic to mask the flavor, to kind of eat something that people would consider is a healthy food.
Okay, yeah, okay, I can actually get behind that for sure. Tim, can you get into you've tried so many hot sauces in your day. What do you eat on a daily basis? Like, what is the go-to hot sauce? What are the best hot sauces? And I would be really curious to hear what are the worst hot sauces.
Yeah, I've really tried a bunch. So if you're asking me like what am I going to on a daily basis, that the thing is, I'm very much against having the same hot sauce all the time.
Ooh, okay.
There's more to life than just Frank's Red Hot, Cholula, Tabasco that you see on like diner tables, And if that's all, I really encourage you. And if you like that stuff, if you like the intro hot sauces, I really encourage you to expand your palate to a lot of other things. My favorite hot sauces are ones centered around creating like really revolving around a single ingredient. So, for instance, there's this really good one that has porcini mushrooms in it, and it's got sort of this umami flavor and salty flavor. It's Forelli's hot sauce in Parma, Italy, and yeah, that one's really good. It's if you got that like salt, if you like salt and you like mushrooms, the peppers that they use, I'm not even sure which ones they use. They really revolve around that mushroom flavor. And there's another one, Bravado, that does a blueberry hot sauce. And so again, it's blueberry. This one's blueberry with ghost pepper, and that combination, it's like they found this secret combination that really works well together. So that's what makes a hot sauce a good hot sauce.
The like combination of sweet and hot.
Definitely.
Tim, I'm curious. I guess that's not what I expected from your answer. So you pointed to two things that were not the pepper in the hot sauce. So when you're looking at hot sauces, you're not looking at like what the pepper is or like the spiciness level. Is that like not what you're looking for when you try to go to the hot sauce store and look for your next trial?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I definitely do think it does matter which pepper it is, but to some degree, I guess in terms of like let's think about this in terms of wines, right? Like everybody knows, or if you're 35-year-old, an average 35-year-old, they probably can tell the difference between a Cabernet Sauvignon and maybe a white wine for the basic example.
Well,
right?
Hopefully people can tell the difference between the colors.
Okay, well, maybe in like a blind. I'm imagining like a blind taste test. I'm trying to be as like basic as possible. Probably somebody could tell the difference between a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Not everybody. Just as a side note, Tim and Hans used to work at a winery together, so they might be particularly
I didn't want to be like
telling apart wines.
like the difference between a Cab Sauv and a Merlot, because I think a lot of people are like, I have no idea what the difference is there. I probably could not tell you the difference between that. But in the same vein though, like I think that like you're trying to you're moving off the base ingredient, and the base ingredient is the red habanero. The base ingredient is the chocolate habanero. It's the jalapeno serrano. And so that's why, in that sense, I'm looking for, okay, what do they combine with that really well? Now, if you get into the, the severe, like the chili heads is what they call them, this group of people that, they combine, peppers to make chimeric new fusion peppers, they'll be able to tell you the difference.
In like breeding wise.
Yeah, right.
Okay, not just like in a blend.
No, we're talking growing these, and like they'll be able to tell the difference between like maybe some grown in certain soils, and that's also what you get with wines too, right? Some, what's in the Burgundy region versus other things.
A sommelier, but for chilies.
Right.
Off that vein, do you have a best hot sauce you've ever had and a worst hot sauce you've ever had?
I mean, it's hard to say what's the best. It's always just like what you're feeling.
To add to that, how about the spiciest hot sauce you've ever
had?
Anything that you couldn't handle? I've never seen you not be able to eat a hot sauce.
Yeah, you're fearless.
Yeah, I think my tolerance is really built up, so I'm able to handle things. Just in the same way that people are able to run, ultra marathons, right? I'm able to do that. Okay, so the best hot sauce, hot sauce I've ever had. I guess my favorite hot sauce. I think best is too like it doesn't allow for the subjectivity that like what's your favorite hot sauce. And my favorite hot sauce is probably this one called Endorphin Rush.
It always comes back to the drugs.
Being a scientist, I think that I like it because it's got the endorphins in it, and it is actually true that hot sauce cause your brain to release endorphins, which makes you happy. Just physically like a runner's high. So I like that aspect of it. The label's also like this beautiful multicolored label. As a marketing tactic, it's just like a great one to say. It's got these beautiful colors to it. And then now actually getting into the hot sauce, it's this tomato paste based hot sauce. That's got, they've got, a pepper extract, but it's this combination of this really nice texture of the tomato paste with the hot pepper extract. It's really hot and really good. And it's one of those hot sauces that, like, anytime that somebody, if I ever come across the hot sauce, if anybody's like, okay, what's your favorite hot sauce? And I say it, I know exactly what it tastes like. Like, I know exactly the flavor profile of it. I can really remember the taste of it. So that would be my favorite.
Like a gustatory memory of
Yeah.
you catalog hot sauces.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's impressive. Yeah. How about a spiciest hot sauce?
Spiciest hot sauce is certainly I haven't tried the spiciest of the spiciest, but
no, like Carolina Reaper for you, or like
oh, certainly I've had
X,
those.
like
yeah, certainly
okay.
I mean, I haven't had anything yet. I haven't had the Pepper X yet. But there's one that Pepper Palace, which is like a big corporation that makes a bunch of hot sauces. They have this one. It's just called The End, and yeah, The End, and then it has like it says flatline, and then there's like the symbol of like that cardiac, what is that, an ECG, and it's just like a flat line. And that's a combination of Carolina Reaper, Scorpion Pepper. I think 7-Pot Douglas is in that one too, or maybe not. And I know Ghost Pepper is in that one too. And it's literally a 1 ounce bottle, and it's one of those things where you take like a dropper and you add it to other ingredients. But it's actually extremely efficient. But yeah, having that straight, like it really burns you. Yeah, it'll cause you to hiccup, almost immediately. And like if you touch it on your hands, I've done this before, like, accidentally, like, even if you're just like, tightening the cap and like, you're sort of wiping away the grease from the hot sauce there, and then the next day you put in your contacts, you get this burning sensation. Like that's happened to me so many times. Day. Yeah.
Wait, here's a quick question.
Yeah.
What's the best way to get hot sauce off your hands? Is there like a special technique?
What do you mean? Oh! You mean
the hot sauce residue physically? Like, what's the best way to get it off? Because I know like sometimes just using like soap and water like doesn't completely remove it. Is there like a special hack?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question because a lot of people, it's sort of counterintuitive. So capsaicin, which is the ingredient, like the chemical inside of peppers that makes things spicy, is super hydrophobic. So if you use water, it's if you're just using water, or a lot of times people, if you eat a hot pepper and then you drink a lot of water, it actually doesn't do anything because of the hydrophobic nature. It's not washing it away. So the best things to do, of course, is soap, because it's also hydrophobic and it will take away those hydrophobic capsaicin molecules. But also milk is really good. There's these molecules in milk called, I think, casein, and they're really good at like scavenging capsaicin molecules and eliminating them. So this actually happened to my mom once. She was cutting up some jalapenos, and some of them squirted into her eyes. I don't know how exactly that happened, or maybe or maybe she wiped her. She was like touching it and then just like wiped her eyes or something. But she was taking, like, she was just doing anything to stop the pain, like pouring water in her eyes, and that wasn't working. It was just actually causing the capsaicin to spread everywhere. And then she had to take like a milk shower. So my dad like got this giant thing of milk, and was pouring it in her eyes. And that was the only thing that really worked. And
So that did work, huh?
Yeah.
That literally helps. Okay, that makes sense. It's just a little shocking to hear.
Yeah. So yeah, take a milk shower if you ever get it in your eyes, for sure.
That's good to know.
Tim, I have a question that I would love your opinion on, because I would say I like minorly enjoy spicy, but I'm like such a beginner and a little bit of a wuss, to be honest with you. So if I wanted to go from a beginner hot sauce enjoyer, which I think I am, I'm like, Sriracha is good, but I don't really want to go above Sriracha. If I want to go from that level to like really enjoying spicy hot sauce, like how do I get there?
Well, people ask me that, like, how do I improve their tolerance? If it doesn't feel good for your body, like, there's no like light at the end of the tunnel for some people. I think people, people react to hot sauce, differently. It's not like you'll come to, you'll like, man, I really want to be like, people that can handle a lot of spicy food. Like there's, I feel like if it feels bad for your body, then there's no use sort of pursuing it. But if you do have that sort of like, okay, I'm starting to like, hot sauce and hot flavor, and a lot of people do like that, I would suggest making your own hot sauce because it is super, super easy. And you'll start to realize like, this is like what enchilada sauce is basically. It's just, tomatoes, onions, hot peppers, and, sometimes vinegar, sometimes water, some sort of acid in there. And so I would go with just making your own hot sauce. It's super convenient and cheap. So that's where I would start.
Yeah, speaking of making your own hot sauce, me and Paul are in the presence of the previous founder and president of the Hot Sauce Club at the University of Virginia. Tim, could you just tell us a little bit about what inspired you to make that club, what that club did, and what you kind of gained from being the president and founder of that club?
Yeah, so this was a really good time in the first, I think 3 years of my undergraduate experience. So a buddy of mine on our first year dorm hall, Sriracha, and then we brought in another guy, Connor Siggins, through a friend of a friend, and we started this club just on this mutual love of spicy foods. And I think what was really cool is that like people from all over the world like different spicy foods, and it's not really specific to sort of a gender or a specific it's in a bunch of different regions globally. So it's a really inclusive sort of thing around this common interest. So it started out with just like 6 guys that really like loved hot sauce. And I remember one distinct memory that I have is going to the library, and it was like 6 of us, and we're all like, there's like 10 hot sauce bottles in the middle, and then we're just like having chips and just like rating all these hot sauces. And then I'm thinking about this, and it's like, wow, that must have looked so weird to the other people like studying in the library to look into this conference room. It's just a bunch of 6 guys, just like tasting hot sauce and just just chatting. So that's where it started, just 6 of us, and then we realized like, wow, this is a really like I said, a really kind of a a thing where we can bring people together with this sort of weird common interest of liking this pain-inducing spicy food, and we can just bring these people together, through that. And so let's explore that. So we built this club, and we got like 30 to 50 members, and it got official club status by the university. We got 10 blenders, and we had people in groups and like have to make their own hot sauce. We would like compete to see which one tasted the best, and it was all kind of instructive on like, I was trying to make it as instructive as possible. It's like, it's really easy to make hot sauce. It's just simple simple ingredients. So it turned into that, and the last reflection I have of that club is we really just spent like $1.5 grand buying hot sauce for us to consume through the university's money. So it was a great way, and I think people, really enjoyed learning how to make hot sauce. So yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time. I thought it was really fun. And to your point, like it was really easy. I feel like it was like basically cook the ingredients, blend the ingredients, and then like boil them again or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you still make any at home, or do you just go out and buy different ones every time?
Paul, if I bought hot sauce every time, if you do the math, like every week I would spend, hot sauce it's sort of kind of going from like, oh, this is just something to add to a delicacy. Like there's some hot sauce, like one called Truff, that has actual truffles in it.
Oh,
and it's like $15, which is crazy.
Yeah, for like a little bottle, right?
Yeah, it's just a normal size bottle, but $15 for a hot sauce is outrageous. So the market is sort of shifting into these, delicacy things. So because of that, all the, there's a big price increase. So yeah, if I had to keep buying hot sauces, I probably would spend about $25 every time we're going to the grocery store. So if we're going to the grocery store every time, every week, that's $25 times 52. It adds up quickly, So to that point, I make my hot sauce as much as I can to really for financial reasons, and because it's a lot of fun, and also being a scientist, I love the idea of like trying to find the holy grail of what ingredients together are really good. So yeah, just a blender, the exhaust fan on the microwave, because otherwise it'll hotbox the apartment with all the spiciness. And yeah, couple windows open for sure. Yeah.
Wait, Tim, when you're making these hot sauces, so I know the ones that you helped us make when we were in the hot sauce club was vinegar based. I imagine there's a lot of different like bases for hot sauces, because I'm not a super big fan of the vinegar based ones, to be honest with you. What other kinds of bases are there? And do you experiment with them all, or just the one?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it really is so vinegar is good, besides being like a additive that does add flavor for sure, and there's different types of vinegars. It also is acidic to prevent bacterial growth, so a lot of companies use it as sort of a preservative, as long as your pH is low enough. But the best answer for that is replacing vinegar with some sort of acid, or just the first ingredient really should be pepper. So the base should really be which pepper you're using, jalapenos, habaneros, and you'll find that on the ingredients of a lot of hot sauces. There's no special thing, and then the only other one would be tomato. Sometimes people start with a lot of tomatoes there, but it should really be pepper driven. And when they're producing a lot of hot sauces, it's just pounds and pounds of peppers being de-seeded sometimes, and stems cut off. So yeah, tomatoes and peppers.
Okay, I'll make sure to look for that on any hot sauce bottle, because sometimes there's those products where you're like, oh, it really should be peppers first, and then you'll find some options that are not.
Yeah.
And Tim, you also grow your own peppers, is that right? To make hot sauce?
I did grow my own peppers. Yeah, unfortunately, so I've also lived in Boston and Providence, and so I do live in a pretty urban area. So I've really just limited to growing peppers on my windowsill. And so I was growing some scorpion peppers and habanero peppers, and they turned out really well. And it's also, peppers are also so easy to grow. They're one of the easiest things to grow, as long as you got a really hot, temperature. So in a climate controlled area, that's gold. And so I want to continue that, down the line, if I, especially, if I'm able to get some land to grow peppers and create fusions too.
Did you notice any difference using your own homegrown peppers versus like store-bought peppers, for example?
Definitely. I mean, well, okay, between homegrown and store-bought, probably not. Just because I was doing on such a limited, basis, I only had a couple plants. But I think one thing that you can recognize though is the difference between like local hot sauces and then companies that produce just they're doing it in bulk, and because they're doing it in bulk, they're adding lots of preservatives. They're trying to make it last for distribution for any sorts of climate. Whereas you go to your local farmers market, they should have the pH low enough to prevent any sort of bacterial growth, but they're not over obsessed with ultra processing. Really, they're not obsessed with that. So that's where you find some of the gold stuff. And so, that or homegrown too.
Gotcha. Okay. Tim, we at the This Week I'm Into podcast studios, we want to help you achieve your dreams of making and distributing your own hot sauce. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
If you had your own signature hot sauce, what would it be called? What flavors would you want to include? What pepper would you want to use? And sky's the limit here.
So you're asking for my secret formula?
He's trying to.
Wow.
And we don't have to call it the This Week I'm Into hot sauce.
I feel like you're exactly. I mean, depends on how the sponsorship that you can rely. Now
I sense a partnership here.
So I think that okay. So one thing that I've realized for myself is I really love the taste of basil. And
okay.
Yeah, there's this really good hot sauce also by the company Bravado that I mentioned previously, their blueberry sauce. They have this Serrano basil hot sauce, and it's really good. You guys should definitely check it out. It's not too spicy, and it's just got a lot of good flavor. So I would want to make a hot sauce that centers a lot around basil. I also really like habaneros because I think they, compared to other peppers, they really they last longer. I'm not sure if that's just related just to the increased amount of capsaicin in the pepper, or if it's due to some other facet of a habanero. But man, it is like it really lasts longer, and so I like that feeling, the long-lasting feeling. So habanero, basil, and then am I missing a question?
Do you have a name for it?
Oh, the name, yeah. For a name, so yeah, being a scientist, I love that like idea of endorphin rush or some sort of like pain related thing, and that's a big market for that. People like they have like devil's something, or there's one hot sauce just called Pain, which is which is a famous one. Yeah, I would do mine like something along those lines. So I was thinking something like Doctor Depolarizer because of the action potentials. Yeah, something semi-dark and very scientific is something I would do. Or Papa Pain or something. I gotta think about it.
That's way better. I was gonna suggest Blazing Basil, but that is not.
Hey, that's not bad.
I like the alliteration, but it's not. It's no pain science. I love the idea of bringing pain science into this. So.
Right.
But speaking of which, Tim, you mentioned that there's some correlation between cartilage medicine and hot sauce. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just really interesting. And I think it's not fully fleshed out, given that in 2021, the Nobel Prize for physiology was awarded to these scientists who discovered how does the active ingredient in hot peppers actually induce a response in your body. And so these scientists found this receptor on mostly neurons all over the body called TRPV1. And this is responsive to that chemical in peppers, capsaicin. When capsaicin binds to the receptor, it is an agonist for the receptor, meaning that it causes the receptor to open, in this case, and the neuron to start firing. So it actually signals all the way to your brain, when you're getting this capsaicin chemical. So this is what induces like this pain response. And so that's interesting because I just told you like it's actually also a pain medicine. So recently they've tried to use, and this there are commercial products and clinical trials into, can we apply a topical like ointment of pepper extract that contains this capsaicin chemical onto your skin, or inject it into some of your joints that are affected by arthritis, to continuously cause like immediate pain, but then later desensitization of those neurons. And this can be happening through like this is sort of a interesting part where the physiology isn't fully fleshed out, but like the one theory is that these neurons stop expressing this receptor, and this receptor, that TRPV4 is normally involved in pain coming from arthritis. So if you're constantly inducing it with capsaicin, eventually the receptor will be desensitized to other things like arthritis. And it's a really complicated, paradoxical phenomenon, but they are using hot sauce to try to prevent people that have chronic pain. Like you try to prevent the chronic pain for a range of diseases like arthritis and cancer.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, it is really weird, and it's interesting to see like how these clinical trials do. But yeah, I can't imagine like doing a injectable, literally like injectable hot sauce. But if it's able to stop if it's able to cause the neurons to be desensitized, then maybe it could prevent arthritis.
So do you think that's basically what's been happening to your mouth? Like you've just lost any sense of pain?
Well, that's one of my, that's one of my myths. So it's not, it's an interesting thing. So when we're thinking about this in a medicine context into different parts of your body, it's high doses and over a long period of time that causes sort of this desensitization that could prevent that. In your mouth, it's the same way in terms of like you're building tolerance by you have to have more and more capsaicin to feel responsive. But a common myth is that people think that like this somehow has to do with like you're losing taste buds, and that's absolutely not true. And so that's why a lot of people think like, oh, I don't want to keep eating spicy foods because I'm going to lose my taste buds. No, it's in that case it's a temporary desensitization. Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of anything that screams more Tim Boyer than that science you just said.
Yeah, that's what it's cool to like. I had never like my love for hot sauce. It's weird that these paths converged with my love for science, and then I somehow got into the arthritis field. But like these paths were totally independent, and somehow now they have a merge. So I'm trying to think about like how can I use both this personal love and this career love together.
Yeah, I'm so impressed. Like that just screams Tim Boyer to me. So amazing. Tim, you did talk about you brought up one myth, but I know there's a couple. You're kind of a myth buster in the hot sauce world. So what would you like kind of want people to know about hot sauce?
Yeah, so that was one myth, and it doesn't destroy taste buds. And so like even though you're going to experience your tongue is going to feel on fire, it's just a chemical binding to a receptor that's inducing a neurological response. It's not physically breaking down any cells. Yeah, so that's one. Also, another myth is a lot of people think that seeds are the hottest part of peppers, and that's actually not true. It's the septum inside of peppers that contains the most active amounts of capsaicin. It's actually the seeds when they just touch some of the septum, and they can like take off some of the capsaicin, which sometimes the seeds can be spicy, but they don't contain the active ingredient inherently. And then my last one is one that I had this experience with. I remember going to a Mexican restaurant with my mom, like maybe when I was 12, and she was concerned, like, Tim's eating all this like really, really spicy food, as a parent would. Like, what is this going to do to damage his body?
What's wrong with this kid?
Exactly. I mean,
It hurts when your parents are asking that.
Yeah.
exactly. It's true, but then again, like I just told you, my dad would put hot sauce on, on apples to condition me to like, foods that he wanted me to eat. So it's sort of their fault too. But she started to get concerned because I was just eating all these really spicy foods. And I remember she asking this waiter at this Mexican restaurant, like, is this okay to keep eating spicy foods? Like this poor waiter, like was like I don't know. My mom is like, just like, why are you doing? Like, you're hurting your
The
mom.
expert on spicy foods is this random waiter at a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, right. And and like, I'll remember this till the day. Now he said like, yes, I can't eat any spicy food anymore because I started getting ulcers. And as you can imagine, like my mom was just like, oh my gosh, like my son is gonna get permanent ulcers in the rest of his life. And apparently that's also not true. Ulcers are created from a bacteria, H. pylori, and hot sauce can make pre-existing ulcers worse, but actually hot sauce is preventative to bacteria because of its acidity. And so yeah, that's a myth too. So you can't get ulcers from hot sauce. But that isn't to say if you have like IBD or other gastrointestinal diseases, hot sauce can certainly make those symptoms worse. But I just thought that was really interesting. This waiter's advice, and then my mom like was always changed from that. Like, you're gonna get ulcers, and she was always mad at me for like eating hot peppers and stuff. So
Okay. It's so funny you have like a very specific memory from this waiter that's like stuck with you?
It was definitely like me and my mom definitely butted heads on like, am I allowed to get the spiciest food at the Thai restaurant? And, I remember she always say like, I think like, four out of five chili peppers is enough. And I'd be like, no, mom, like I need the 5 out of 5. I have another funny story. This is one time, so my mom like finally caved. Like she was just like, I'm not gonna win this battle. Like Tim just wants the spiciest food possible. And so we would order Thai food through DoorDash. This was a little bit later when like that, Uber Eats and DoorDash, were possible. And I always didn't like doing that because I really needed to be in person to emphasize that I really wanted spicy food.
Yeah.
Like it's different.
They're not giving you the level 5 over the phone.
Exactly. It's different on DoorDash when you just say like, you just click the bot that's like extra spicy, because they, from their point of view, they don't want to get a complaint where it's like, my food was way too spicy, I couldn't eat it, like it's better to be on the safe side. So that's why I really liked going in person to say like, I want extra spicy is what I would say. So my mom was like, no, we're like this one day. It was like my mom said, no, we're ordering DoorDash. I don't want to, we don't have time to go to a restaurant. So she thought of this strategy. I have to give her credit for this. She went on to Google Translate and translated the word extra spicy. I can't remember if it was I think it was a Vietnamese restaurant actually. And she used that word and put that in the DoorDash. And that, yeah. And that beep was spicy, that's for sure.
That's so funny.
They thought to screw with you at that point.
Yeah.
You weren't getting white person spicy.
I know, right? I mean, they do that. That's another thing that's another issue that I've come up. That's why I really have to emphasize extra spicy. And like I look them straight in the eyes, and they're like, okay,
For
because
real.
I've got
the real spicy.
I've gotten the like, the are you sure? Like the white boy thing, where it's like, are you sure you want spicy? So
Tim, I wonder if they do this because my dad does the same thing as you. I think they double down
for like the extra spicy.
Like when you challenge them, and you're like, no, I seriously want it. I think they double down on you.
There is a difference. I'll say there is definitely a difference between hot and very, very spicy. Like there is a difference. Like I think it literally might be the double amount of some sort of chili oil that they're using. I've really yet to go to a restaurant and have something that I've like been unable to eat. And I think it's because there's like a threshold going from like the habaneros to the ghost peppers and the scorpion peppers that like these restaurants, they don't have, they don't have that stuff. And that's good. I'd rather have like a bunch of the Thai chilies. But I don't want to go over the threshold. I've yet to experience that though, but yeah,
that's good. You've always been able to eat all of your food.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Tim, this podcast obviously it's about jumping into a new hobby, a new passion every week. So what is the elevator pitch for why someone should pick up hot sauce?
Yeah, I think if you like that basic Tabasco and Cholula, which are, they're great sauces and they're very popular, but there's a world beyond that. And if you like being creative, if you like culinary things, don't forget about making your own hot sauce. It's ridiculously easy. And if you like cooking, that's definitely something to do. And if you like exploring your taste palette and you like some of those intro sauces, there's definitely a lot, there's Mexican restaurants that have these walls of hot sauce that you can sample a bunch of things, for free. And then, buy, and nowadays you can buy anything from Amazon. So yeah, like, that's what I recommend. And go support your local hot sauce vendors for sure at farmers markets. Cause that stuff is gold and very unique to that region. Usually if they're growing peppers from there too. So that's a lot of fun for that. Yeah.
I gotta ask, because you just reminded me, have you ever done the Hot Ones like challenge series?
I have not done the Hot Ones challenge series. It's more of just like I gotta buy all the for me to personally do it, I gotta probably spend like $100 to buy all the different hot sauces. There are great hot sauces in that in that thing, but I haven't done that. I have done the Blazing Challenge at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I pretty much do that every time I'm there. I don't even like.
There's so many photos of you on the wall.
No, it's not that though. Like I don't even care about the challenge. It's just I want the 10 blazing wings, and so my order is just 10 blazing wings every time. It's not even this the challenge. It doesn't even matter.
I feel like the hot ones lineup would be so perfect for you.
Yeah, I know. I do want to try.
I feel like you'd actually kill that. Yeah.
And what a cool show to like bring popularity to hot sauce. You know, and the fact that they're interviewing guests. So I definitely a fan of the YouTube show.
Yeah. Speaking of which, do you have any plugs, like either personal or any other channels you want to give a shout out to that kind of highlight hot sauces?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. I mean, I really do love the Bravado's hot sauce. They've also sent me merch just because I'm a super fan and I'm constantly getting like orders from them from Texas. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Definitely, it's Bravado Spice Company. Definitely check them out. And I mean, there's Johnny Scoville. He's like he's the gold standard tester for the hottest peppers. So I think his content is always very interesting and engaging and extreme. So he just eats really really hot peppers, and he is able to assess their quality. So he's the best at that. So I would also check him out.
Definitely. Tim, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
For sure, guys. It's been a pleasure.
I hope we get to make a hot sauce together soon.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Maybe we can compromise between your level and my level. Maybe there's something in between. But
there's always levels. It's a very gray area. It's not just, black and white, what's hot and what's not. There's many, many levels in between.
Perfect. Tim, thanks so much. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the This Week I'm Into podcast, and a huge thank you to Tim Boyer for sharing his passion on hot sauce. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future topics, please reach out at thisweekiminto@gmail.com, and give us a follow on Instagram at thisweekiminto. Please rate us 5 stars and share this episode with a friend. We're doing our best to grow the podcast, and your help really goes a long way. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. And now, a word from our sponsor, but legally, they don't actually sponsor us.
Hans, this is some really good hot sauce. I am so glad the Hot Sauce Club reached out to us about the sponsorship. Here, you should try some.
Yeah, let me get a bit. That is really good. Okay. So this week's sponsor, Paul, you go. My tongue feels like it's on fire.
Sure, Hans, I got this. Okay, folks, today we're here to talk about Dr. Depolarizer hot sauce. Oh no, it just won't go away. Okay, Dr. Depolarizer is a hot sauce that will take your taste buds to med school and fill them out of sheer intensity.
Listen, Dr. Depolarizer isn't just hot, it's spicy sophistication. Maybe chef pleasure with a touch of elegance and habaneros to punch you in the face.
And by punch, Hans means full on, no holds barred brawl. This is not your average hot sauce. This is a prescription level burn. Perfect for tacos, wigs, or if you need to reset your brain's taste receptors.
Speaking of reset, my tongue is trying to reboot itself. Cut. Seriously, Paul, we should not have tried this hot sauce before recording. I could barely speak.
Yeah. Hans, you are so right. My whole face is throbbing. We gotta fight through, though. You got this.
Okay. Let me tell you, the basil and habanero combo really shines. It's like a classy garden party that suddenly explodes.
Oh yeah. My mouth is a garden on fire right now. If you're brave, and you're looking to make some interesting life choices, order your own bottle of Dr. Depolarizer today. Visit drdepolarizersauce.com and use code HOTDOC for 10% off.
That's right. Get the spice that doctors can't prescribe. And don't forget to stock up on your bread, milk, and maybe an ice pack for your ego. Dr. Depolarizer Hot Sauce. Taste the flavor, feel the burn, question your decisions.